Taehyung's unexpected question about Jimin's father shatters Jungkook. His explosive revelation changes everything the staff thought they knew. Why does Jimin never talk about his father? Taehyung's voice cut through the tense silence like a blade, and in that instant, time fractured. The studio lights above flickered, as if reacting to the question itself. Jungkook, who had been adjusting his in-ear monitors with mechanical detachment, froze. His fingers stilled mid-motion, and slowly, he turned his head toward Taehyung. His expression, normally composed, even playful, shifted into something unrecognizable. A storm, confusion, and grief wrestled in his eyes, and something else, too, fear. Around them, the staff halted. One assistant dropped a clipboard. No one moved to pick it up. Taehyung, sensing something had cracked beneath the surface, stepped forward. "I didn't mean to upset you," he added quickly, his voice lower now, uncertain. Jungkook didn't speak. His lips trembled, and for a moment, it looked like he was struggling to breathe. Then, without warning, he dropped to his knees on the polished studio floor, head bowed, shoulders shaking. The silence became suffocating. Even the hum of the fluorescent lights seemed to fade. Jimin stood frozen near the backdrop, his face pale, lips pressed into a thin line. "Jungkook?" he said softly, as if saying his name would rewind time. But the damage was done. Jungkook's voice finally broke through the silence. "I wasn't supposed to be the one to tell you, but he's not who you think he is." The entire room tilted. A low gasp escaped from one of the lighting crew, but no one dared speak. Just an hour earlier, everything had been normal, at least as normal as it could be for BTS in the middle of a promotional shoot. The new documentary series was meant to be a tribute to their journey, their bond. But there were things, secrets buried beneath years of loyalty and survival, that had never been meant for public ears. They had arrived that morning laughing, bickering over coffee orders, and teasing Namjoon for forgetting his script again. The air had been light, until now. "Wait," Jimin said. His voice was calm, but his eyes locked onto Jungkook's with desperate intensity. "What are you talking about?" Jungkook didn't answer. He looked away. Taehyung ran a hand through his hair, now feeling the full weight of his question. I just asked because I noticed your mom never mentioned him, and you always changed the subject." "I had to," Jimin murmured. "It was safer that way." Jungkook's eyes snapped back to him. "You knew?" "No," Jimin whispered, "but I knew something was wrong. I just never asked." Yoongi, who had been silent at the edge of the room, stepped forward. "Everyone out, now." The staff hesitated. "Out," he repeated, and this time they obeyed. Within moments, only the 7 of them remained in the studio, standing in a wide circle like survivors after a detonation. Jungkook wiped his face with the sleeve of his shirt. "You remember when we disappeared for that 1 week? 2018? We said it was for rest?" Jimin closed his eyes. Taehyung shook his head slowly. "We were in Busan, weren't we?" "No," Jungkook said. "We were hiding. From him." Namjoon took a step closer. "Jungkook, you need to tell us what's going on. Right now." Jungkook inhaled sharply. "Jimin's father isn't missing. He's not dead. He's in a government facility, under a false identity. And he's not who you think." Jin blinked. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying he was part of something big, dangerous, something that could destroy us if it ever got out. Something he made me promise to protect." Silence dropped again. He looked directly at Jimin. "I didn't want to tell you because I thought you were safer not knowing. But now we're all in it." Jimin took a step forward, fists clenched. "Why would he involve you in this? You're my best friend." "Because I was there the night he disappeared," Jungkook said. His voice cracked like glass. "And because I helped him fake his death." The room spun, as if gravity itself recoiled from the truth. And no one spoke again for a long time. "You helped him what?" Jimin's voice echoed like a slap across concrete walls, raw and vibrating with disbelief. Jungkook didn't flinch. He just looked tired, bone-deep exhaustion that made him seem older, heavier, as if the truth had been a weight shackled to him for years. "I helped him disappear," Jungkook said again, slower this time. "I was 17. I didn't understand it all. I just knew he said he was being hunted." Silence. Thick. Choking. Taehyung stepped backward, mouth slightly open, chest rising and falling faster than normal. "You mean Jimin's dad wasn't just leaving? He wasn't just gone?" "No," Jungkook said. He was running from people who wanted him dead. Why? Namjoon's voice was low, level, but there was steel beneath it. He'd always been the one to hold the chaos together. But even now, cracks were forming around his calm. Jungkook rubbed his palms together like they were coated in something dirty. He used to work for something. An agency. I never got the full name. Just a project name, Hemlock. Yoongi muttered, "Hemlock's a poison." Jungkook nodded. Exactly. Jimin backed away until his spine hit the cold cement wall of the studio. "You knew this," he said, voice breaking. "All this time. You've stood next to me on stage, celebrated my birthdays, hugged my mom. And you knew this? I wanted to tell you so many times," Jungkook whispered. "But your dad said if I told you before it was time, people could get hurt." "You could get hurt." "People are hurt," Jimin snapped, fists clenched at his sides. "I've spent my entire life thinking he abandoned me, that he left my mom, that he didn't care. I hated him, Jungkook. I grieved him like a ghost." Jungkook's eyes filled again. "I know. You don't know anything," Jimin said through gritted teeth. "You don't know what it's like to grow up wondering what you did wrong to make your father vanish." Jin, standing awkwardly by the doorway, broke his silence. "Okay, we need to slow down. This is spiraling. Jungkook, why now? Why today?" Jungkook hesitated, then pulled out his phone. With a trembling hand, he opened his photos, tapped once, and turned the screen around. On it was a blurry, time-stamped image, a man in a hood taken from a distance. His face partially obscured, but the jawline, the shoulders, the stance eerily familiar. "This was taken 2 days ago," Jungkook said, "near our hotel in Tokyo." Jimin's eyes locked on the image. "That's impossible. I thought so too." "He's being watched," Jungkook continued. "Tracked. He came out of hiding to warn me." "Warn you about what?" Namjoon asked, voice tight. Jungkook raised his eyes. "He said someone in the industry is compromised, that the project never ended, that Hemlock is still active, and it's getting closer." Taehyung swore under his breath. "What the hell does that mean?" "It means someone around us isn't who they say they are," Jungkook said. "He told me not to trust anyone." Jin leaned forward. "Did he name names?" Jungkook hesitated. "He gave me one. But I can't believe it. It doesn't make sense." "Who?" Jimin demanded. Jungkook swallowed. "Bang PD." A gasp rippled through the room. It was Yoongi who spoke next, voice a low growl. "You're saying the man who built Hybe, who built us, is working with some underground intelligence syndicate?" "I'm saying he's not who we think he is," Jungkook said. "That he might have known Jimin's father before BTS even existed. That he may have created BTS to keep certain people under surveillance. Like me," Jimin whispered. Everyone looked at him. "My dad used to tell me bedtime stories," he said. "Stories about secret rooms and men who disappeared. About voices in the phone line that didn't belong. I thought he was just eccentric. He said he worked in communications. But he never brought friends home, never talked about work, and one day, he just vanished." "He knew he was being watched," Jungkook said. Jimin turned toward him with fury. "And you knew, and you said nothing." "I couldn't," Jungkook snapped. "You don't think it's been killing me? I'm not some spy, Jimin. I was just a kid who saw a man bleeding in a stairwell, begging me for help. I chose to protect you. I chose you." "Don't make this about loyalty," Jimin said. "You took away my right to know my own father." A loud bang startled them. Taehyung had kicked a nearby equipment crate, sending a cascade of cables clattering to the ground. "This is insane," he muttered, pacing now. "We're not trained for this. We're not supposed to be targets." "I think we've always been targets," Jungkook said. "We just didn't know it." Yoongi's eyes narrowed. "And now we do. So what the hell do we do about it?" No one had an answer. The next day, the studio remained locked. Production halted under the guise of technical delays. But the truth was far more volatile. The group hadn't left the building. The company had called in internal security, but Jungkook had already encrypted the photo and uploaded the metadata to a secure drive. Too many variables, too many unknowns. Namjoon sat in the dim control room, staring at security footage from past weeks, analyzing every background face, every assistant, every intern. "We've been blind," he muttered, "so busy chasing perfection. We never questioned anything. Jin leaned against the console beside him. What if this goes deeper than the company? Namjoon didn't look up. Then we have two choices. Stay quiet and be controlled, or fight back. Downstairs, Jimin sat in the stairwell alone, clutching the photo Jungkook had printed for him. His father, or a ghost of him. The door creaked. Taehyung sat down beside him. You okay? No. Want to scream? Jimin exhaled. I already did. Inside. 1,000 times. Taehyung nodded. We'll figure it out. He was right there, in Tokyo, and I missed him. Maybe he wasn't ready. Maybe you weren't. Jimin didn't answer. His thumb rubbed over the grainy edge of the photo. If everything's a lie, what's left of me? Taehyung looked at him. Us. Upstairs. Jungkook stood on the rooftop, gripping his phone. He dialed the encrypted number his contact had given him, the only one that could reach Jimin's father. It rang once, twice. Then a voice answered. Too late, it said. They know. Jungkook's blood ran cold. What do you mean? They traced the call. They're coming for all of you. You need to disappear. We can't. Jungkook, listen to me. Trust no one. Especially not the one you think you owe everything to. Then the line went dead. Below, a black SUV pulled into the building's private parking garage. 3 men in tailored suits stepped out. One wore an earpiece. One carried a briefcase. None of them smiled. And from the shadows of the soundstage, a red light blinked twice. Then went dark. Jimin stood frozen as the elevator door slid open. The reflection of fluorescent light gleamed off the polished floor, catching the glint in the eyes of the 3 men who stepped out clean-cut, silent, cold. The type of people who didn't speak unless they were giving orders or issuing threats. The type that smiled with their mouths but never their eyes. Jungkook came running down the hall just as they passed the security checkpoint. His voice was low but urgent. Don't talk. Don't ask questions. Just follow me. Jimin stared at him. Who are they? Government. Private. I don't know. But they're not here for a documentary. He grabbed Jimin's arm and pulled him through the nearest side corridor, into the maze-like guts of the building where soundproof rooms and blackout rehearsal studios lined the walls like tombs. Their footsteps echoed faintly, lost beneath the pounding of blood in their ears. Meanwhile, in the conference lounge above, Namjoon faced the 3 strangers across the long glass table. One of them introduced himself as Director Hwan, flashing a badge that seemed too perfect, too polished. The other 2 didn't speak, they merely observed, blinking too little and smiling too often. We're here on behalf of the Ministry of National Security, Hwan said smoothly, folding his hands. There's a matter concerning a former asset. We have reason to believe certain information has been compromised. Namjoon kept his tone polite. This is a music label. If you're talking about data breaches, we have an internal cybersecurity team. Hwan tilted his head. You misunderstand. This isn't about your network. It's about your people. He placed a photo on the table, grainy, black and white, time-stamped. It showed Jungkook speaking with a hooded figure behind a vending machine near Shibuya Station. I'm sure you recognize him. Namjoon didn't answer. We also know, Hwan continued, that Park Jimin is the son of someone who disappeared under sensitive circumstances. We believe the father may be attempting contact. Namjoon leaned back slowly. If you're here to interrogate artists, you're wasting your time. Whatever this is, it's a family matter. Not anymore. There was something final in the way Hwan said it, like a death sentence disguised as a fact. Jin entered, holding a steaming coffee he never intended to drink. His face was calm, but his eyes darted from the file to Hwan's hands. Strange. For men so focused on discretion, you didn't come quietly. Hwan offered him a dry smile. That's because we don't need to. Back in the sublevels, Jungkook and Jimin slipped into Studio G, one of the oldest, least used rehearsal rooms. Dust coated the floor. The walls were padded, and the door, when shut, sealed them in near silence. Jimin pulled away, breathing hard. Are you going to tell me what the hell is happening? Or are we just going to keep running like this is some spy movie? I just got off the phone with your father. Jimin stopped. What? He warned me. They're watching. They're here. And it's not just you they're after now. It's all of us. Jimin backed against the wall. Why didn't he come himself? Why hide behind phones and shadows? He said if they caught him, they'd use him to get to you. I don't even know him, Jimin snapped. How can someone protect me when they're not even willing to face me? Jungkook's voice cracked. Maybe because he knows what they're capable of. You still haven't told me everything, have you? No? Jimin stepped forward. Then start talking. Jungkook sat, wiping his palms on his jeans. The night I found him, he was bleeding from a stab wound. Said someone inside Hybe had tried to silence him. He didn't say who, but he mentioned something Project Hemlock wasn't just about surveillance. It was about engineering loyalty. Jimin stared. What does that even mean? Behavioral programming. Conditioning. He said there were layers embedded into the entertainment system. Music, lights, environments, things designed to keep us obedient. Controlled. Jimin scoffed. You're saying we've been brainwashed? No. I'm saying we were studied, watched, maybe even tested. The air in the studio grew cold. Think about it, Jungkook said. How often have we questioned our choices, our memories? There's a reason it's all starting to unravel now. Suddenly, the door handle rattled. Jungkook held up a hand. Quiet. The knob turned, paused, then slowly released. They waited in total stillness until footsteps receded. Then Jimin whispered, "We can't stay here." Jungkook nodded. "We need to leave the building. Tonight." Upstairs, Taehyung had returned to the lounge just in time to hear Director Hwan mention another name, one that made the air freeze in his lungs. Min Yoongi, Hwan said, sliding another photo across the table. We have reason to believe he had contact with the same individual 2 years ago, in Jeju. Namjoon's head whipped toward Yoongi, who sat stone-faced across from it. Hwan's voice was smooth. "We don't think it was incidental." Yoongi leaned forward. "I was there for a music retreat. You were there alone. So? You also disappeared for 3 days without cell activity. No receipts. No alibi." Yoongi's jaw tightened. "I was writing. Convenient. Are you accusing me of espionage? I'm asking why a national intelligence ghost would risk contacting 2 BTS members unless the organization believed you were compromised." Yoongi stood. "You can leave now. We'll need to detain you for questioning, not without a warrant. You're under federal jurisdiction." "No," Namjoon said, standing with him. "He's under my jurisdiction. Until you bring paperwork and a court order, you're just men in suits with accusations." The tension in the room rippled like static. "Very well," Hwan said, rising smoothly. "But this conversation isn't over." As the men turned to leave, Jin muttered under his breath, "It never is." That night, the building emptied. Lights shut down. Cameras went dark in patterns that felt too deliberate. Jungkook and Jimin waited until 2 a.m., then exited through the back delivery bay. But they weren't alone. Taehyung was waiting in the shadows, hoodie up, eyes fierce. "I'm coming too." Jimin stared at him. "Why?" "Because I don't trust anyone right now. Except you two." Yoongi stepped out from behind a crate. "Make that 4. Jimin blinked. "You?" "I've known something was wrong for a long time. I just didn't know how deep it went." "Where's Namjoon?" Jungkook asked. "He's buying his time and forging travel documents. Jin's helping." "Where are we going?" "Somewhere they can't follow." Jungkook glanced up at the security camera above the dock. The red light blinked, then blinked again, and then stayed on. A warning. They had less time than they thought. "You lied to me." Again, Jimin's voice echoed through the crumbling concrete warehouse, his tone laced with betrayal and fury. Rain slammed against the metal roof above them, a steady pounding that matched the rhythm of his racing heart. The old hideout, an abandoned textile factory on the edge of Daegu, reeked of mildew and dust forgotten. Just like the truth he had been denied for so long. Jungkook didn't deny it. He didn't even flinch. He sat on a broken wooden crate, eyes rimmed red, fingers trembling as he ran them through his tangled hair. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Because he hadn't. "I didn't know until 2 weeks ago," Jungkook said, voice hoarse. "I swear, your father. He told me in Tokyo." Jimin stepped closer, rain-soaked hoodie clinging to his shoulders. "Told you what exactly?" Jungkook looked up, and something in his gaze shattered. "That you're not just his son. That you're part of the project." "What project?" "Hemlock." There was silence. Not even the rain dared interrupt that word. It hung between them like a live wire, vibrating with danger. Jimin's jaw clenched. "What does that mean? Be specific." Yoongi leaned against the wall nearby, arms crossed, eyes heavy with unspoken truths. Taehyung paced behind them like a caged wolf, glancing every so often at the windows. They were all on edge. Jungkook stood slowly, as if bearing the weight of his words. Your father wasn't just hiding from the project. He was running because he broke protocol. Because he took something with him. What? You. Jimin stepped back, the breath knocked out of him like a punch to the chest. What? They injected you with something when you were 7, Jungkook said quietly. It was experimental. A neural agent designed to enhance memory absorption, emotional resistance, performance under pressure. Subtle things. Things that made you obedient, talented, instinctive. Jimin's knees buckled slightly, and he grabbed a rusted beam to steady himself. No, that's not... You ever wonder why you don't forget choreography? Why you perform even under panic attacks? Why you can't cry when you want to? Shut up. Jimin's voice cracked. You're not broken, Jimin, Yoongi said softly. You were built. The room fell into a stunned silence, broken only by the thunder rolling outside. Jimin shook his head violently. No, you're lying. All of you. I've earned everything I have. I bled for it. You did, Jungkook said quickly. This doesn't change that. It just explains why it was easier for them to use you. They used all of us, Taehyung added. But you were the prototype. No, Jimin whispered. I'm not some experiment. Neither was your father, Jungkook said. That's why he ran. He found out what they did to you, and he tried to destroy the data, but he couldn't do it alone. That's why he came to me. That's why he needs us now. Jimin sat down heavily, trembling. All this time, I thought he left because of me, because he didn't love me. Yoongi approached and knelt in front of him. He disappeared to protect you, not abandon you. Jimin looked up, eyes wet. So why hasn't he come back? Taehyung answered from the shadows. Because Bang Si-yuk would kill him the second he did. The name cracked through the silence like lightning. He knew? Jimin asked. He funded the research, Yoongi said, and used HYBE to build the perfect environment to test it. Idol culture was the perfect lab. Constant pressure, performance, obedience. It was all there. Then why me? Because your father was the lead scientist, Jungkook said, and he volunteered his son for the first test, before he realized what it would cost. Jimin stared at the floor, unable to process the spiraling truth. And then the lights cut out. Everyone froze. Yoongi's hand went to his waist instinctively. Reaching for the knife he kept tucked in his boot, Taehyung checked his phone. Signals jammed. They heard footsteps in the hallway outside. Soft, precise. Jungkook motioned toward the back exit, but before anyone moved, a voice rang out from the darkness. You always were the emotional one, Jungkook. The lights flickered back on, revealing a man standing in the doorway, dressed in black, umbrella still dripping rain onto the floor. His face was familiar. Almost too familiar. Bang Si-yuk, but colder, sharper. I didn't come here to threaten you, he said, his voice smooth, as if they were all simply late to a business meeting. I came to offer you a deal. Jimin stood slowly, wiping his eyes. You don't get to speak to me. I'm afraid I must, Bang said. Because the future of everything you love depends on it. Everything we love? Taehyung scoffed. You mean the illusion you built and sold to the world? I mean, your fans, your careers, your freedom. Those things died the moment you put needles in a 7-year-old, Yoongi growled. Bang sighed, stepping inside and letting the umbrella fall to the floor with a wet slap. I made mistakes, we all did, but you don't understand the bigger picture. No, Jimin snapped. You don't get to be the visionary in this. You're not a misunderstood genius. You're a criminal. Bang's eyes flicked to him. Then why do you still sing? Jimin blinked. If you were just a victim, Bang continued, then why did you rise? Why did you lead the world's biggest group? Why do you still find joy in the music? Don't twist this. I'm not, Bang said. I'm reminding you that whatever was done to you, it worked. And now, it's all coming apart. Unless you help me fix it. What the hell are you talking about? Jungkook asked. There's a splinter cell, Bang explained. They've hijacked the Hemlock data. They're using it, twisting it for military contracts. Psychological warfare. They don't want to enhance idols. They want to create soldiers. Everyone stared at him. And the only person who can stop it, Bang said, eyes on Jimin, is the prototype. Jimin laughed bitterly. You think I'll help you? I think you don't understand what happens if you don't. You've seen only the edges of this world, but the storm is coming. And when it does, you'll have to choose, burn with it, or stand in the eye. He dropped a device onto the floor. It projected a hologram footage of a lab, children, needles, monitors with biometric readings. Then, the screen flashed with a name, Prototype 3, Kim Taehyung. Taehyung went white. Bang looked around the room. You think Jimin was the only one? The silence screamed. I came here to tell you the truth, Bang said. Because I still believe in what you were meant to be. But if you want to walk away, do it now. Just know this. The people coming next won't offer you a choice. He turned, picked up his umbrella, and walked out. For a long time, no one spoke. Then Taehyung said, He's lying. Jungkook looked down at the hologram. No, he's not. Jimin stood slowly. Then let's stop them. How? Yoongi asked. Jimin turned to the others. His voice was calm, cold, controlled. We go to the source. We find my father. And then we finish what he started. Outside, the rain kept falling. But inside, the ghosts had begun to move. The city didn't sleep that night. Not really. Not with the storm raging across its rooftops and its power lines snapping like brittle bones beneath the weight of a secret too long buried. Somewhere beneath the roar of wind and the buzz of neon signs, a van rumbled past deserted streets, headlights cutting through rain and memory alike. Inside, silence sat thick between them. Jimin hadn't spoken in hours. He sat with his hood up, eyes fixed on the drops sliding down the window, each one tracing paths like old scars. Next to him, Jungkook kept checking the rearview mirror, hand gripping the wheel tighter than necessary. In the back, Taehyung leaned his head against the glass, pretending to sleep, though his breathing was too shallow. And Yoongi watched them all like a man preparing for war. They were heading to Busan. That much they knew. That much they had agreed upon when the message came in, coordinates encrypted with a timestamp and one line of text. Come alone, or not at all. No one had asked what they would do when they got there. No one dared to ask whether they would return. They had burned too many truths already. Do you think he's still alive? Jimin finally asked. His voice was soft, almost childlike. The kind of question asked by a boy at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling and wondering why. I don't know, Jungkook replied after a beat. But he wouldn't have sent that message if he wasn't trying. What if it's a trap? It probably is. Taehyung opened his eyes, voice gravelly. Then let it be a trap. Let's walk into it together. Yoongi gave a dry, humorless laugh. We're already inside it. This whole thing was a trap the day we signed our names. Jimin didn't argue. He didn't even blink. He just whispered, Then let's finish the song. Hours later, they pulled up in front of what used to be a government research facility, decommissioned, gutted, hidden in the cliffs, like a wound carved into the earth. It was cold, the wind slicing through their jackets, the rain now just a light drizzle, as if the sky itself had grown tired. The gate was open. No guards, no surveillance cameras. Too easy. They walked in single file. Every step echoed off metal and ruin. The air smelled of ozone and rust, and Jimin could feel something prickling in his skin, not fear exactly, but something more familiar, like a memory, trying to claw its way out. Then a light flickered on ahead. A man stood at the end of the hallway. He wasn't tall. He wasn't armed. He wore an old coat, shoulders hunched, and his eyes were the same ones Jimin had seen in his own reflection for 28 years. Appa. Jimin breathed. His father didn't move. Are you real? His voice trembled now, and even Jungkook looked unsure whether to believe what stood in front of them. Jimin's father stepped forward slowly. I've never stopped being real. Only hidden. There was a pause, the weight of decades pressing into the space between them. Why? Jimin asked, voice raw. Why me? His father's voice was soft, regretful. Because I believed in the lie, in the science. I thought I was making you stronger, better. I thought love could protect you from consequence. You experimented on me, Jimin said. I did worse, his father said. I let them believe you belonged to them. And I let you suffer alone. No one said anything. The truth was too much and not enough all at once. I tried to destroy it, the man continued. The data, the protocols, the control nodes embedded in the systems at Hybe. But it was too late. Bang had already moved it to another lab. He was preparing the next phase. The military phase, Yoongi said. Jimin's father nodded. You're not the only ones anymore. There are others. Children. Grown now. Scattered across industries. Some don't even know what they are. And what are we? Taehyung asked. Proof, he said. Proof that people can be turned into brands. Into weapons. Jimin shook his head. Then let's destroy it. His father stepped aside, gesturing them into a chamber beyond the hall. There it was. The terminal. Old tech fused with new analog wires and biometric locks, black screens humming with unreadable code. Jungkook stepped forward, examining it. I can decrypt it, but it'll take time. Jimin turned to his father. Once we destroy the files, will they stop? No, his father said. They'll come harder, more desperate, but it'll fracture their foundation. And what about you? I won't survive it. No, Jimin said, suddenly fierce. You don't get to die after everything. You don't get to walk out the back door again. I never wanted to, his father said. And this time his voice broke. Jungkook worked fast. Too fast. The countdown clock began 60 minutes until full erasure. That's when the lights went out. And the gunfire began. Jungkook dove to the side, dragging Jimin down with him as bullets shredded through the entry hall. Yoongi pulled his blade, slicing the throat of the first assailant that made it through. Taehyung grabbed a steel pipe from the ground, swinging wide as another man lunged at him. They weren't agents. They were soldiers. Not in uniform, but in motion. Perfect coordination. Emotionless. Trained for one thing. Extraction. One of them grabbed Jimin, slamming him against the console. But his father stepped in, injecting the man with something that made him seize violently before dropping. Stay close, his father yelled. Jungkook shouted over the chaos. We have to hold them until the wipe finishes. Yoongi nodded. Bangmitten minutes. He moved like a phantom, cutting through the chaos, giving them cover. Taehyung fought with reckless desperation, every blow screaming of years of betrayal. Why us? He screamed at one of the attackers. Why make us? The man's mouth moved, lips twitching, because gods sell better than men. Taehyung didn't hesitate. He killed him. Jimin dragged his father behind a pillar. How do we shut the door? You can't. Not unless you want to trap yourselves in here. Then maybe we do. He looked to Jungkook, blood running from a cut above his brow. I'm not leaving until it's done, Jungkook said. Another wave hit, this time with gas. A thick chemical fog that burned the eyes. They dropped to the floor, using torn fabric as masks. We're almost there. Jungkook coughed. 10% left. Yoongi was bleeding now, a deep gash across his side. He handed Taehyung a detonator. If I go down, you're not, Taehyung said. You're not going down. But Yoongi smiled. Just a little. If I do, make it worth it. Then the alarm changed tone. Data deleted. Transfer nullified. It was done. Jimin looked around at what was left of them, bloodied, bruised, broken in places that would never fully heal. He walked to the center of the room and picked up the main power cable. Then he pulled. The entire system died in seconds. Outside, helicopters approached, red lights flashing. Too late to stop anything. Jimin turned to his father. What now? His father gave a weak smile. Now you choose what kind of man you want to be, not what they built you to be. Then he collapsed, heart failing from the toxin he had injected into himself earlier. Jimin didn't cry. Not yet. The others gathered as the wind howled through the broken facility, carrying ash and memory into the sky. The screen behind them flickered once more, one final message before it blacked out for good. Prototype terminated. Project Hemlock. Shutdown initiated. They had done it. But at what cost? Outside, the dawn finally broke, and Jimin, covered in blood and truth, looked at his brothers. I'm not a prototype, he said. I'm me, and I'm taking it back. Together, they walked out into the light, not as gods, not as idols, but as survivors. And behind them, the ghosts burned. Forever.